Hey everybody, it's Ron from Ron's Basement. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Ron and I own precious metal mining stocks. I feel like we need to start a support group for those of us who have precious capital invested into precious metal mining stocks. It has been a painful week, house of pain, at least for me. And I think most all of the precious metal mining stocks had a less than stellar week. So, yeah, I don't know. I can see how people give up on this sector and capitulate and sell. And I hear so many people say this. And look, I'm guilty of saying the same thing, and it's happened to me before in the past. But I hear so many people say, as soon as I sell, it'll take off. As soon as I sell, it'll take off. Well, do me a favor, if you're one of those people, sell on Monday so it takes off. Because I'm a little scared. And, my portfolio is structured in a way that for me, and I'm not offering any financial advice, but for me, right now I've got about 50% of our capital in cash and about 50% invested in precious metal mining stocks. Well, maybe 45% and then 10% in a few blue chip, big name companies. But basically 50% cash, 50% precious metal stocks. And last week was painful. I always remember my high water mark, and right now pretty far off that high water mark. So anyway, if you're suffering, you're not alone. It's probably affected my sleep a little bit, probably affected my mood a little bit, and I have a cat who's just going to join us briefly. This is Jasper. He sits on my desk usually while I'm making videos, and sometimes he decides to move. But anyway, it's been a rough week, okay? And it doesn't really... Here's two things that I think are weird about what happened with precious metal stocks. Number one, the price of gold, I should know this if I'm making a weekly gold update for sure, but I'll just say I'm pretty sure. I know it didn't go down, and it seems like the price of gold actually went up a little bit last week. That's weird thing number one, right? Gold's at like 1812 per ounce. But the precious metal mining stocks, like on Friday in particular, collapsed. I know gold was down on Friday, but still, they collapsed like 4%, I think, the GDXJ. Does that make any sense? No. The other thing that concerns me is the fact that the kind of overall market is at like still close to all-time highs. The Dow's close to 35,000. So what's going to happen if the Dow corrects, or the NASDAQ corrects, or they all correct 10 or 15%? Are we going to see massive selling across the board? Can these gold mining stocks go lower? I mean, I want to say no, right? Because believe it or not, I have a degree in accounting. I understand financial statements and valuations, and these gold stocks are cheap right now. But one thing I've learned is the market can always surprise me. They can get cheaper. So, I'll rant for 1 minute. When I look at some of these valuations, let's just take Apple Computer, okay? And one valuation metric, which is the price to sales ratio. Apple is selling, based on my crude calculations, at about 8 times, their market cap is about 8 times their current run rate for annual revenue. 8 times. I looked at some of the precious metal mining stocks. They're mostly seem to be in the range. I didn't look at all of them, so if you want to prove me wrong, that's fine. I'm always interested in people proving me wrong. But the average precious metal mining stock was selling like maybe at 1.5 times revenue. And I was thinking, I'm like, and gold's been around 5,000 years. Apple iPhones have been around for about 10 years. And if you look out 20 years, I'd say gold's still going to be valuable. I don't know that Apple's still going to be enjoying this kind of pretty much monopoly they have on a big segment of the tech sector right now. But people would rather put their money into Apple stock, right? I don't know. Sorry for my rant. One more thing I'll say on that. After the tech bubble burst, Scott McNealy, who was the CEO of Sun Microsystems, famously said that as he was looking back on the tech bubble, he said, "Can you believe that during the peak of the tech bubble, my company, Sun Microsystems, was selling at 10 times revenue?" And he went on to say something like, that would mean that, like, for investors to get their money back, we would have to give them all the revenue the company makes for the next 10 years, which would be impossible because he said we would have to pay salaries and taxes and everything else. He said it was just insane that our stock was selling at 10 times revenue. Well, now we have Apple selling at 8 times revenue. And if Apple crashes and the whole market crashes, the damn gold stocks might go down even more. Anyway, yeah, it's house of pain to be a precious metal mining stock investor right now. But you never know. Let's look on the positive. Gold is still above $1,800, okay? Most of the miners that are in production are still making really great money right now. And who knows if there is another, I mean, things are so screwed up with the way the Fed is managing the economy and everything else. Who knows what might happen if there's a quick correction, you know? Maybe money will just immediately flood into gold, right? There's not going to be many places for it to go. Real estate's overpriced, stocks are overpriced, you know, bonds, you know, are already super low rates, you know, and if people rush into bonds and those rates even get lower, that's going to help gold. So who knows? You know, I'm going to try to be an optimist. I'm not going to try. I am going to be an optimist. I've sustained some pretty hefty losses over the last, feels like, month, 6 months, or 6 weeks. You know, a lot of these companies in my portfolio, I'm not recommending you buy any of these stocks, but my portfolio is heavy on Equinox, Fortuna Silver, First Mining Gold. Those are probably my 3 biggest positions. Then I also have positions in Brixton Metals, Fosterville South, Kinross, and Barrick. Oh, and some Treasury Metals. Supposedly I'm getting some Treasury Metal shares from a distribution. Treasury Metals, which is an interesting little company. But if right now you're feeling like you've been kind of like you're at grandma's house and you did something bad, and that bad thing you did was you bought precious metal mining stocks in the last 6 weeks, and you feel like grandma just kind of took you out behind the shed and gave you a whooping, and then brought you back inside, and then grandpa decided that he was going to take you out by the shed and give you another whooping, well, you're not alone. But hang in there because, you know, who knows what's going to happen here in the future. And if anything, these precious metal mining stocks having been beat down, right? A lot of them, at, you know, like Equinox and Fortuna, they're like 50% of where they were a summer ago, last summer. I mean, the valuations alone are becoming very, very compelling. So anyway, just wanted to let you know that if you're suffering, you're not alone. And I hope you have a great weekend, and I appreciate you watching.